contingencies. Alan here. So today we're going to be test firing. I guess you can call it a first shots video. It'll be a first shots after tearing down this marker from not only maintenance, but for really to troubleshoot a what I would call a hair trigger, right? On that last short video I put out called hair trigger, right? IntruBuster Gen 2 with a hair trigger. You'll notice on the second shot, wow, I was surprised by that, right? I mean, as soon as I went to touch the trigger, it was firing. I mean, the thing almost leaped out of my hand. Some of that was because I had forgotten that just how light this gun can be, but yet powerful, you know. My build's a carbine build that I run all the time, and it's got heavier barrels, so you don't feel it as much, even at the higher joules. However, this marker, being with the shorter aluminum barrel, it's still pretty light. And yeah, so this is a friend's marker, and I wanted to see if I could figure out what was going on with it. I think, well, I did find something, right? On the previous video, the teardown video I did with the Sear spring, I did find a bent Sear spring that was likely bent, not to start off with, not from the factory, but I think it was probably bent from using a procedure of going in there and trying to push in so that you could reinstall the spring stop. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I was able to successfully bend it back into shape, and then I flipped it around and I reinstalled it. So I'm hoping that resolves the issue. If it doesn't resolve all the issues that this marker is exhibiting, mainly the auto fire, then it may be necessary maybe to order a new Sear spring for it. At least that's the only thing I could come up with. Replace the bolt spring. The bolt spring was fine. I replaced it with another functional, known good, if you would, 60 millimeter factory, 1.6 millimeter thick factory bolt spring, and had the same problems with that. So I think I ruled out the bolt spring being the source of the auto fire and the touchy trigger. I really think it was that bent spring, Sear spring in there, and I believe it's probably going to be better now, if not fixed. So we'll see how it goes. Again, if it's not 100%, hopefully as long as it's better, you know, that's the goal, I guess, here. So, all right, so let's gas it up on CO2. I have a CO2 in the handle. The first test we're going to do is going to be, all intents and purposes, it's going to be factory configuration, meaning the rear piston assemblies back on here, the back cap. There's no power mod, there's no rear ASA. The only modification is essentially that we have we're not using the factory barrel. We're using an aluminum, an MCS aluminum 686 barrel that is 6 inches long. Okay, and it's also got a threaded end. It's got a thread protector on there right now, but you can make it longer. So that's really the only mod on the gun. Now, as far as the magazine goes, I did do a little maintenance to the magazine in order to help it feed better. Okay, these magazines are known. If you take the bottom of the magazine off, depress this button, slide it off, and remove the spring, and just watch that follower go up and down in the channel, you'll notice that it hangs up in the middle. Okay, it moves freely, hangs up, moves freely. Okay, so what I did to fix that is I took a file and I just filed in this channel down. Okay, kept refitting the follower without the spring, because that's the whole point. You don't want it under spring tension. It should travel freely on its own back and forth without any spring tension. If it doesn't, then you may want to clean that up until it does, and then it'll feed better when it does have spring tension. Okay, when it's under spring tension. So I did that modification to my friend's magazine, so it should feed better as well, which was one of the complaints, I think, is it was the feeding wasn't around the third or fourth shot, when the spring naturally wouldn't be under as much tension. neither would the ammunition. So it was kind of intermittently feeding, having problems with that. Yes, first mag, we're going to shoot some of these 5 gram, some of these blue balls, some of these 5 gram AR Tactical hammer rounds. And yeah, we'll see what it does. So we'll see. All right, let's gas it up. That was weird. Do I not have a CO2 in here? Did I forget to put the CO2 back in this thing? No, it's in there. Wow. It's in there, it's punctured, and there was no gas in this. What, did I get one that was made on a Monday? After everybody returned to work all hungover? You know what? I think that might explain why it was so cold the other day. I couldn't figure out why. I had tested it on HPA, and I couldn't figure out why it was so cold, but it didn't have any pressure. I must have had, it must have vented out. There must have been a defect on this. Anyways, let me get that out of there. I brought a couple extra ones down to do the other CO2 tests, so I'll have to replace one of them, but let me get this out of here. Let me take this out of there. It would help if I had a good CO2 in there. All right. Yes, indeedy. Let's try this again. All right, this one is sealed. Okay, let's put that in there. I already lubricated it quite a bit in there, so I think we're all right with that. We'll lubricate next time we switch this out. All right, so I'm gonna be short 1 CO2 for this test. I might have another one in the drawer down there, or if not, I guess I'll pause the video and go get another one out of the office. I don't like to keep my CO2s in the basement, especially in the winter months, because for obvious reasons, I like to keep my room a decent temperature. All right, let's try it again. Okay. Nice and quiet, the way I like to hear it. Okay, unloaded. Especially with the way this gun was operating, I was not going to gas this up with ammo in it. But it should be much better now. So we got our trusty yellow button X radar. All right, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the blue 5 gram AR Tactical hammer rounds, okay? And all stock. We'll see see what it does. All right, mag 1, shot 1. Let me get close so I can. Mag 1, shot 1. 482 feet per second. Those were humming. Shot 2. 466 feet per second. Shot 3. 456 feet per second. I think that was shot 4. Make sure that barrel's not loose. I had a loose screw in the plastic up here. That's what I keep hearing. All right, what are we on? Shot 4? I think shot 4. Shot 4. Actually, only 4 shots out of factory. What's going on here? We got a jam in there. We got a jam. That's unfortunate that I'm getting a jam on one of these rounds because I don't like to fish them out under pressure. So we're wasting a little bit of gas we had in there. All right. Now, I'm kind of surprised that I got that jam because I did rework this magazine. So that was would have been the 3rd shot. So we only got off 3 shots. And the gun fired pretty good. However, right before that jam, I did notice, I don't know if it'll pick it up on on the video or not on the Bluetooth here that I'm wearing. But I did notice a slight, like a leak sound, and then it sealed right back up again. So maybe that's why it jammed. Maybe there was maybe there's some sort of intermittent leak. I'm running the factory back cap, right, with the factory O-rings that came with it. So don't know if that 011 was acting a little flaky or what. So I think what I'm going to do is, we got a couple shots off on it with the factory back cap. I happen to know that my buddy here that I was working on the marker for him, I don't think he's going to probably run it this way too often. I think he's probably going to run it with the HD24 or the Sterling power mod, CO2 mod. So I'm going to try it next on this. I'm going to put a fresh CO2 in it, because one thing that's going to change besides the back cap is this mod's got one of the newer urethane O-rings on it. And this O-ring, if I'm not mistaken, I've been using these as well. Barry sent me a bunch of these, friend of the channel here, and he had sent me a bunch of these, and they've been holding up really good on my Pistelli X68 and on my high-powered IntruBuster carbine, the Terminator build. I've been using them now for, I don't know, a couple weeks, I guess. The orange one here from AliExpress, and this is a 7.65 millimeter by 1.78, I think it is, cross section for that 011, and it's been holding up fantastic. So it's already on this ASA, so we're gonna switch ASAs out. It's what we're gonna do. And I did bring my tool down. This tool. Yeah, so because of that that sound that I heard, that little leak, I think that caused the bolt to kind of trip up and maybe not, you know, cycle right that next round, which would have been round number 4. So we're just gonna, come on, get out of there, play nice. There we go. I'll stick you in there. Sticking in. All right. I have another CO2 cart right here. The third one that I was going to use to test the SSD on here for him as well, to make sure that that was working, I had to use. So I am going to, at some point, need to get another CO2 out of the office. But let's go ahead and test the Home Defense 24 short ASA. This is a version 2, unlike my version 1. So it's got the smaller holes in the back, and it's also got the thicker pin, kind of beefed up pin. I have it plugged with my homemade plug that I made for it. And we're just going to swap these out really quick, and then we'll see what this does. Hopefully we're able to shoot all 6 rounds with no problem. Yeah, I really think that was probably a leak, probably due to, like, these are original O-rings for this factory cap, you know. So, and I did hear that, like I said, I did hear that kind of a weird sound, like a leak. And it was kind of like that leak you hear when you blow a 011. Goes flying off. Well, of course, it's still on the back cap, but maybe it shifted or something. I don't know. I'm not inside the market, so I don't know. But that's my best guess. Okay? That's my educated guess. All right, so what are we going to run this time? I mean, we have some additional power here. I suppose so those 3 that I shot were the 5-gram hammers. Let me let's see. 1, 2, 3. I guess we'll run another 5. I guess we'll shoot hammers. This way we got something to compare to. 5 gram, I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4. I should have a couple in here. Or they all bounce out on me. There's 1. That makes 5. And where'd my other one go? Well, I'll find it later. I don't worry about leaving these around too much because they're 684, so I think they should shoot out almost anything. I just don't like leaving real heavy stuff laying around in case one of the kids picks it up and tries to shoot it out of their marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we got 5 of those. Let me break out a few more. So we got 6 anyways. All right, so again, the blue 5-gram AR tactical hammer rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we got a fresh CO2 in there. Did I put some oil in there? I don't think I did I? Let's take that off and give it a squirt of silicone oil. And I want to lubricate this really good anyways for them because I wiped it all out during the maintenance, you know, for that last tear down. I wiped it all out. I did pack it with some silicone grease that should provide some lasting protection in there, but it's not going to supplement 100%. You know, keeping some silicone oil in here, so a couple drops go a long way. A couple drops, you don't have to go crazy and have it blowing out your barrel. If it's blowing out your barrel, you're probably doing a little too much. But yeah, a couple drops of silicone per cartridge, I think is what the manufacturer says. At least that's what I've seen on a lot of the products, so you can't go wrong following what they say, right? So in that case anyways. All right, this looks good and tight. Let's go ahead and gas it up. Unloaded. Okay. I'm not hearing any leaks. I think we're okay. All right, so this has got the Home Defense 24 short tuning ASA. It is indeed the version 2. Okay. And 6 rounds of the blue AR tactical hammer rounds. These are the 5-gram, and we'll see what we get out of this. All right. Shot 1, 490 feet per second. Shot 2, 476 feet per second. Shot 3, 458 feet per second. Shot 4, 438 feet per second. And I heard that little sound again. Now that's got a different 011 on it, so I guess I can't argue that it's probably that. But yeah, I did hear that weird little intermittent, like a sound, like a little, like quick little double leak. I don't know if I lost trigger pressure or not, if I'm still jammed up, but let me take a look and see. Yeah, there's something in there. I mean, we got a little further that time, but there's something ain't totally kosher in there, I would say. I'm going to put this back in. I don't think... It looks like that ball didn't quite go all the way up into the breech. I don't know if you can see it in there or not. Probably not. It's just kind of hanging out. It's like almost in there, but it's not all the way up into the breech. Interesting. I'm going to leave that in there and see if this will fire. I don't think it's going to fire. No. There's no pressure on the trigger at all. All right, so what do I want to do? Do I want to waste the gas I have, or do I want to see if I can get that out of there carefully? You know what? I don't like jams. I ain't taking a chance. I wouldn't advise you guys do that. So I know some of us veterans, which I am not, to paintball, will play around with that and get around out and run the risk, and we'll get away with it. But my luck, it'll come flying out somewhere and hit me. So there wasn't too much gas left anyways, but so that time we got 4 instead of 3. We got 4 rounds out before we had a problem. Now the only thing that seems to be consistent is each time it does that, I'm hearing a slight leak. Now, am I hearing that leak because the bolt's getting hung up and not fully, seating back on, the valve's not fully seating back on the 011? Maybe. Or is there some problem with that that's causing, the leaky sound that I'm hearing, and of course causing that round to jam in there? I don't know. Everything else looked really good with this. The factory bolt spring's back on there. I'm not getting auto fire, so I would say that spring, that repair that I did to the spring, fixed the auto fire problem. I was getting a lot of crazy auto fire. I didn't video everything, but that last video that I uploaded, that short on the one that I called Hair Trigger, IntruBuster Gen 2 Hair Trigger, I was getting a lot of auto fire through that one, and worse on some other videos that I didn't upload to the channel. They were just videos that I shared with the person who owns this marker. So I'm not quite sure what is causing that. I don't believe it would be a 021 O-ring that would be causing that, because it happened with the factory back cap with a totally different O-ring, factory O-ring. And then it just happened now with that new orange O-ring that's been running fantastic for me. So I think we can rule that out. It's got to be something common to, the internals. Now, and I didn't see anything else worn out in this marker other than, there was some wear on the Sear naturally, because the Sear probably wasn't operating properly to begin with, so there was probably some wear, but it didn't look excessive. And again, we'd be getting auto fire if the Sear wasn't locking up the bolt properly. We'd be getting at least a stutter or something. We're not seeing any of that. Very good high power shots. The first time around, three nice high powered shots. The second test with the HD24, again, I got 4 nice high powered shots. The only thing I can think of maybe I need to pull it apart and grease the bolt a little bit more. Maybe something's hanging up there. I did have it heavily greased at one point, but then I wiped it all down again when I did that last tear down. Maybe I need to put a little bit more grease in there. Maybe the bolt's just hanging up, not coming back far enough. And then, of course, if it doesn't come back far enough to seal that, for that 011 to seal in the valve, then you're going to hear that little, that little fist leak sound, which I heard twice. So before I do any more testing, guys, I'm going to break away and I'm going to pull this back out, the bolt and valve and spring assembly. I'm going to do a quick little inspection on it, and I'm going to pack it with some of my silicone grease and make sure that it's greased up really good, because I think it could just be that. So that is what I'm going to do. Okay, so we'll be back after these messages. All right, I'm back. Boy, that was fast. Yeah, it actually took me a couple minutes. So I pull apart the back, pull the bolt, spring, valve assembly out. It wasn't as lubricated in there as it could have been, but it definitely wasn't dry. The bolt itself definitely had plenty of lubrication on it. And then I started thinking, and I'm like, well, the first time it happened on the third shot. The second time we had a little bit more power, right? Because we used it with the the tuning ASA here, but it happened on the 4th shot. We only got 4 shots out of it, so it kind of really happened on the 5th, I guess, right? Loading the 5th, that the ball was kind of not fully in the breech. When I looked at it, the ball was kind of just, the round was almost fully in the breech, but not quite fully. Like it was hanging out of the breech a little tiny bit when I looked at it. Both times, that's what I saw. So, even though I did perform the rework on my buddy's magazine here, and I'm sure it's feeding better, I don't know a lot about this. I don't know what kind of spring's in it. It looked like the factory spring to me, but I don't know if it had been replaced and maybe it's a thinner spring. You know, there's a lot of unknowns. So, and it kind of sounds like it could be, you know, since it's only happening on the 4th and 5th round that's trying to get chambered, naturally then the spring's starting to decompress. Okay, so now it's not having as much compression or tension on the remaining balls. So I'm thinking it makes kind of more sense rather than lubrication. Oh, by the way, the auto fire is fixed. I mean, fire's at least the auto fire problem that he was getting from the bent spring, totally corrected. This gun's firing nice, really, it's cycling good there. Now we seem to have, I'm thinking it's a feeding issue. So I got one of my magazines from my IntruBuster Gen 2. I'm going to try this in here. Of course, right now I got 10 gram ammo in here, so I think what I may do is, oh, what the hell, I'll run the 10 gram ammo. Why not? 684. It's got the power mod on the back, so it should be able to drive the 10 gram just fine. So we'll use the 10 gram joules. Why not? So we got 6 of them in here. Like I said, this is my magazine. It's known good. I haven't been having any problems with it. It's still running the factory magazine as well. You know, it does have the fix where I filed out and made it feed better. But I did fix his too. And that follower was going up and down without spring tension perfectly. So I don't know. Maybe the spring's tight or what's going on with it. It's hard to say. But just as a quick rule out, I mean, if this behavior continues to happen even with my magazine, then back to the drawing board. I'm going to have to figure out why it's doing it. But honestly, I don't think it's an O-ring leaking. Of course, we hear a leak, but I think that's simply because the bolt's not going back. You know, it's not traveling properly. It's jamming on a round. And we're hearing we're hearing a little bit of off-gassing, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm running with that theory anyways. But yeah, let's see. I got another CO2 in here. This is back on. I did add some more lubrication while I was in there anyways. Put some more silicone grease on the inside where the O-rings seat. And then I threw a little more silicone oil, super lube silicone oil on the bolt physically itself, just to make sure that everything's lubricated properly. Again, I don't think that's what it was now. Now that I pulled it apart and looked at it, it looked lubricated enough. But hey, you're in there, you might as well throw a little bit more. I don't see anything else. I unscrewed the barrel where it meets to the breech looked fine, so I don't see anything flaring or anything where a round would hang up. The only thing I got left here is there something with that magazine, maybe a magazine spring or something with it. You know, let me double check and make sure that this magazine detent's okay too. It looks all right. I mean, it could have the pin shifted a little bit. So I mean, maybe it's the magazine detent. But you know, once that opens up, I mean, it's not really doing anything after that point. So I don't know. I'll look closer at that. If this works with my magazine and there's no problem, especially with the 10 gram, right? We got heavier ammo that it's trying to lift up in there. If that works, fine. Then we'll look a little closer at your magazine, Barry. Let me gas it up and we'll see where we get with it. This looks tight. Let's give her a try. Unloaded. Not hearing no leaks. Good puncture. Yeah, all right, 10 gram joules. CO2 in the handle, HD24 short, version 2, tuning ASA plugged. 6-inch barrel. Let's see what we get. 10 gram joules. All right. Shot 1. 384 feet per second. Shot 2. 368 feet per second. Shot 3. 348 feet per second. But that one was rolling around. 348 for shot 3, I think that was. Shot 4. 300 feet per second. That was rolling on the floor back at me. All right, what is this? Shot 5? Shot 5. 252 feet per second. We're starting to dip off on energy now, pressure. That was shot 5. And that's all we're getting out of her. 5 shots. Now, that is much better and not surprising to me whatsoever, because we had a tuning ASA, which is an air hog or gas hog, I guess you'd say in this case, on here. So we're not going to be using the CO2 volume as efficiently, right? Because we have more volume, more push. So we're not, so 5 rounds. All right. I'm happy with that. Okay. And the bolt retracted fine. This came right out of the breech. We just didn't have enough gas to shoot it. Okay. So it is a feeding problem. I'll try reworking, Barry, I'll try reworking that again and filing a little bit more. But I'm thinking if that doesn't resolve it, I'm thinking maybe, I guess the spring could be tired, or maybe the maybe the detent or something. I didn't do the shake test. I've been locking the follower all the way down. What if for some reason the follower didn't release, right? And now apply that spring tension. Could be that too. I can try that right now. We'll just unlock the follower manually. And because I like to lock the follower, because too many times I've gone to feed this in there and the freaking rounds come crazy, coming out everywhere. The gun's supposed to unlock the follower for you, but sometimes sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just don't cooperate, So maybe that's what it is, In any case, not having the problem, we just, we shot 5 out of 6 10 gram heavies out of my magazine, and it didn't jam up at all, and we didn't have that gassing sound, right? So I think this marker is running like 10 men and a small child right now. It's running strong. Right? I think our auto fire issue, at least under CO2 and modded CO2, seems to be corrected. I'm very excited about that. 5 out of 6, yeah. That's with this beast on here, driving 10 gram ammo, not surprising. Matter of fact, this same setup with my version 1, even worse. Sometimes I only get 4, maybe 5, and that 5th one, just like we saw here, will be really, really low feet per second. So totally normal, I think. Totally normal. Good puncture too. Hell, that was like that was a tear of the space-time continuum, baby. That was a good puncture. I didn't even slam that hard. All right. Okay, so I think there's one more test to do, and we're gonna do. Did I not bring another CO2 down with me? Sons of biscuits. All right, I gotta go get another CO2. All right, I'll be back because I'm gonna use my magazine, and I'm gonna repeat that test that we just did with the HD24 short and with the 10 gram Air Tactical Joules. We're gonna repeat that, but with the SSD power mod, slim power mod on there, because this will also serve to give Barry some, my buddy there, will also serve to give him some statistical data between the 10 gram ammo going through this gun that's been repaired now, and compared to the HD24 short, right? He'll be able to compare the numbers. So I'll be right back once I get myself a CO2. Okay? Stand by. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. I'll be quick. I promise. All right. The magic of editing. All right. I got me another Umrix 12 gram. So I'm going to put that in here. And yeah, so that's good news then. You know, I'm glad it's a mag, because I was like, what the hell could it be? You know, I mean, probably just need an upgraded spring or something. I mean, like I said, I did the modification to it, so I feel like it's not hanging up anymore. So I think it's probably just the spring. I don't know. Maybe he changed the spring out and put a different spring in it, and it's a thinner. You know, it's hard to say what it is. Maybe change the spring out and he cut it too short, you know, so it's not giving enough tension. Like it starts off with enough tension, but once you get to that fourth or fifth shot, it's just maybe it's not enough travel, potentially enough tension under travel. So I might try another spring in it for him. I've got a couple springs, you know, now that I look at it. I think it could be that, but I'll take a look at it later. For now, we know we got a magazine that's feeding good now. Now, if we don't get all 6 shots, it's purely because we're using a lot more volume of our CO2 in these power mods. Okay, so that makes total sense to me. I lubricated it. Puncture cap. Put the puncture cap in. Okay. And then before I puncture this animal, I need to change the ASA. I've been oiling this quick puncture quite a bit too, and I notice it's been doing much better. I haven't heard it leaking. Haven't heard any other leaks outside of the little bit of leak we had when the bolt was jamming on a round that wasn't getting pushed up enough. All right, we're gonna remove the short HD24 short tuning ASA. And we are going to let's get in there. We're going to install Barry's. I'm going to install your SSD Slim Power Mod, and this will serve. We're gonna shoot those AR Tactical 10 gram joules again. This is going to serve to also be a little test, you know, which rear ASA under CO2 conditions does a better job. Now, this won't have as much CO2 capacity as the Home Defense 24 one, a little bit less, so that chances are we may actually get all 6 shots from this one because it's got a little bit less expansion area in here. Actually, quite a bit less. I mean, you just look at these two, right? I don't know if we can get light in there. I need to backlight this camera. That would be so helpful for times like this. But I mean, you just compare, like my plug is basically taking up all this space up to about here, okay? But if you even start this right here, okay, you can see there's a little bit more volume, okay? Plus, this back piece is pretty thick back there. It doesn't even go back as deep as this one does. Okay, and naturally, one of the reasons why is because this is really an ASA, so you can use it with high pressure air as well. It's just being plugged, whereas this is purely for CO2. Okay, there's no way you're plugging it. You know, you're connecting a bottle to the back of that. So, yes, this is gonna hold, even plugged, it's gonna hold more CO2 than this will. So in theory, this should be more powerful, but get less shots. This should at least get you 6 shots, maybe 7, and give you a nice bump in power. But probably about 10 joules, I would think. In this configuration, possibly. I saw about a 10 joule jump on mine, on my X68, that is. Yeah, all right. So let me throw a little bit of oil on these O-rings to make sure they seal and don't leak. let's do that. Let's put in the slim power mod. Okay. This one is, why is it getting tight? I don't remember it getting tight before. You know, I don't like how that feels, and it's not a case of pulling the trigger on this particular one, because even if I pull the trigger, I don't like, well, maybe that's why the other day I didn't have it as tight as I thought it did and it was leaking. All right, well, it seems to be going in all right now. I'm just going to give it a little bit more of a turn because I know this is going to leak on me. But this one doesn't seem to go in and seat fully with as little effort as this one. Okay, not sure what to make of that, on why that is, but I guess if you got one of these SSD slims, you got to make sure that you do tighten it properly, would be my guess. All right, I think I got that down nice and tight now. I think so. Let me make sure. Yeah, we're good and tight now. We're like the Germans say, good and tight. All right. Yes, we are. Okay, so hopefully we don't have a leak out of there. All right, I don't know. I just don't. I guess it's not a big deal if you leave this on there and you're not taking it on and off all the time like I've been doing for testing here. But I just, I like the way this one, you know, without effort, you can get it to seat fully. This one here, it's like it screws on nice and easy. But that last couple millimeters, it feels like it's tighter, you know, and of course, right away you think, geez, you know, did I cross thread it? But no, there's no way you cross thread it because it would have got tight much sooner than that if you had cross thread it. There's no way you would have got more than half of the threads into the gun and now all of a sudden you cross thread. Now there is always the possibility that some of the threads could have gotten damaged. Maybe you dropped it on the floor or something like that. I don't know. You dinged up a thread further down. But I don't think that's the case here. As far as I know, this hasn't been dropped. And it did go in fine. It just needed a little bit more oomph. Okay, so I think we're okay with that. We oiled the CO2. I did put CO2 in it. So for this test, I want to do the same 10 gram joules. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The previous test with the Home Defense 24, we shot the 10 gram joules. We only got 5 out of the 6, and even that fifth one was pretty pitiful. Okay, but again, we're using a lot more volume using that rear ASA plugged. Okay, now with this one, maybe with the Sterling, maybe we'll get all 6, you know, or maybe we'll still only get 5. I don't know. We're gonna find out though. Okay, we're gonna continue using my magazine because we know it feeds, and it feeds these heavy rounds okay. And yeah, we'll see what the heck happens here. All right. All right. And my follower is locked down there, but that is something I'll have to check with his, is maybe the follower was hanging up down inside there and it wasn't unlocking, because that would explain why, you know, first couple rounds may be under enough spring tension to feed, but yet naturally the last 3 or 4 rounds wouldn't. So I'll have to look at that as well. But that's simple enough. We can do a test without using the lock. Just don't lock it and see if that makes a difference. But let's just get these off first. Also, I should be shaking it because another dead giveaway your follower is still locked in there is if you move the gun around, you can hear the ammo rolling around like this. Okay, so good, always a good thing to probably listen for. Puncture it first, Alan. Here we go. I turn it this way, it leaks. Turn it that way, it doesn't. I think it's this again, acting up. I spoke too soon, but it's intermittent. It's not internal. It's that thing. Got to keep that well lubricated. Barry, in the future, just keep lubricating that thing too, because it's seen better days. It's probably been through a lot of use. So, all right, so we're gassed up. We have the Sterling Slim Power Mod on the back. We're going to be shooting these 10-gram joules. We got 6 of them in the mag. The mag is, all right, I'm not hearing them moving around, so my follower has unlocked. The gun unlocked it, so guess we're okay with that. We are going to use the X-Radar. All right, let's see what we can get out of this. 10-gram joules, SSD Slim Power Mod, 6-inch barrel, shot 1. 370 feet per second. That one came flying back at me. I'm just checking the plumbing behind me, because I heard some weird sound. I don't know what that was. What is this? I was going to say, I hope I didn't break my plumbing. All right, anyways. Shot number 2. 10-gram joules, SSD Slim Power Mod. 350 feet per second. And I do need to fix that target trap. And most of these rounds, they should be staying in there. I think I made too big of a freaking hole is what I did. They're bouncing out all the time. Maybe I can do something, put something else in there, because they always bouncing out on me. All right, 10-gram joules, shot number 3. 334 feet per second. Shot number 4. 316 feet per second. Actually got a little auto fire there, and now it's leaking. And then it stopped. All right, so something might be going on a little bit with this. Let's see if we can get another shot out of here. I can't even remember. Was that shot 4 or 5? I don't know, but if we have trigger pressure, we're going to go for it. I'm going to call it shot number 4. I might be wrong. Here we go. 292 feet per second. And I think I still have a round left in here. Let me see. 1 left. It's in the breech. And I don't know if it's fully in the breech or not. Let's see. I guess we'll find out if it shoots. I got trigger pressure, so let's hope it is. All right, this should be shot 6. No trigger pressure. All right, so we got, again, 5 out of 6 shots. And let's see if it releases for us. We had a little weird operation on that one. Yeah. A little weird operation. Don't know what to make of it, but I don't think long term there's a problem with it. You'll have to keep an eye on that, Barry, if it continues to misbehave like that on you. Again, that's with my magazine. And I definitely think it operates better. Now, again, we're really kind of being hopeful to get more than 6 shots when you have a power mod on the back. I would think we should be getting 6. We got 5. Now, with this one, I'm not surprised, because I don't think I've ever gotten 6 when I've used these on my marker. Okay, I've gotten 5, sometimes even 4. But even if you get 5, really that 5th shot is so weak. It's just really not impressive. You know, I think I tested it enough to say that we discovered what was causing your auto fire, which was that bent Sear spring. Okay, it's been fixed. Real lousy puncture on this one. That could have been some of my problem too. Yeah, not a good puncture like what we had last time. That could have been some of the issue. I probably need to slam this a little harder. I don't know. Intermittent good punctures, I guess. So, but like I was saying, I really think the problem's fixed, okay? Now, do you have a feeding issue still? Yes. I'm going to take a closer look at your magazine, okay? And I'm going to see if I can try another spring in it, you know. I got some spare springs. Maybe I got something I can piece together for you and get it running a little bit better. But I definitely think my magazine was doing a better job of feeding than yours, and that's even after I filed out the Fowler channel. So I think it's probably either the spring may not be long enough, so towards the end of its reach, its span, it's not applying enough pressure maybe, or I mean, honestly, I think that's probably what it is. So we're going to try another spring. So I didn't go to spring engineering school or anything, but I did sleep at a Holiday Inn Express last night. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, we're going to look at that anyways. The next test I want to do here really quick is I just want to verify it works fine under high pressure air. I'm not going crazy. If you want to run 1100 or 1000 on it or whatever, that's up to you. I'm just going to hook up a soft 850 tank to it. Just want to make sure that there's no auto fire, because when I tried it in the past before fixing it, we had auto fire under almost every condition. So, and much worse, we still had a feeding issue with your magazines back then. Yeah. So we're just going to hook up a bottle really quick. And then, like I said, I'll try another spring in your magazine, and I'll do another test on that just to see if I can't get that magazine to work better for you, since I have it now. And then after that, I'll just, we'll box this up and send it back to you. But I think the major complaint you had with it has been corrected. So I feel, we didn't get a single auto fire. We shot what, 3 CO2s? Yeah, 3 CO2s now, right? All factory, but for the barrel. And then the HD24, we shot that, no auto fires, no stutters. And then we just shot the Sterling, with the Sterling on here, no auto fire. Now we're going to try it on high pressure air. Probably going to be about 800 PSI. We're going to try that. I think we're going to use my mag again, and I think I'm going to use the same 10 gram joules. I can find them all. I got 4. Well, there's 1 in the magazine, so that's 5, right? And where'd the 6th one go? Where'd you go? All right. Got 1 in the mag, got 4 in my hand, and another one probably rolled under somewhere. So maybe we'll, I have 6 of those 8 gram joules. Those are actually a little bit bigger bore size, so they'd be even more efficient out of a 686. These are 684. Or we can just shoot the 5 of these, I guess. I know that other joule is hanging around here somewhere. It probably rolled up under one of my... rolled up under here somewhere. Probably under this thing. You know what? I can just rob one out of my drum mag this way, because I know we'll probably be able to do 6, but I'm not going to worry about it. Why am I worrying about it? 5's enough. 5's enough. Maybe this thing will feed even better. Although we're using my mag, so. Now if I compare this in the locked position, let me compare this. All right. It's not bunched up much at all. Most of it went right into the follower. And I compare this one. Yeah, it could be that mag spring in this one's a little bit shorter. It could be. It could be. We'll try something else. We'll see if we can get it running better. All right, so I got 5 in here instead of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 10-gram joules. I'm going to reinstall the Home Defense 24 short tuning version 2. See, that just goes in so much easier. And right away, you don't have to like really muscle it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's it. Matter of fact, I wouldn't muscle these because when you do, then you need a tool to take them off if you want to take them off. Right? Like it seals better too. The O-ring seems to seal better on these. With the Sterling, not only does it get a little tight towards the end, but you got to really crank it or else it doesn't seal. You'll have a slow leak out the back out at your 0.21. I don't get that with these, so I don't pretend to understand what the difference would be, but I mean, you can get that to seal. You just got to make sure it's good and tight. That's all. Which, maybe it's not a big deal either way. All right, so we're going to take the plug off that I made. We'll take the plug off. And we have 5 of these 10 grammers. We're going to do one more test, and if we don't get auto fire, I think I'm good. Even if we did get auto fire, it could be a result of something else. Clearly not the Sear spring, because the Sear spring's straightened out now. I have this 800 with the slide check on here on a 13 CI tank. That's overkill. I have a little 7 CI tank here that's charged up to 300 PSI. This is 800. I think I'll use this with the standalone MCS. Standalone MCS slide check. I think it'll work with this here. Let me make sure. Yeah, it should work. There we go. I'll do that. So we're going to use the HD24 short ASA. We got the MCS, standalone MCS slide check, which I guess the newer ones are better now. They got that checkered pattern where you can get your greasy little fingers around the operator. That's my biggest complaint was this will work. Matter of fact, you have to really kind of get on there and turn it and push it forward. I mean, they will work, but they're not as easy as, say, a slide check on the built-in ones. But I noticed MCS has got a couple new variants out there. They got one that'll take 8890 directly. They got one that'll take it directly, and the output of that on and off valve is also like 8890 threads. Then they got one that's 8890 input, but HBA output, and vice versa. They got like a bunch of different versions, and the biggest thing that makes me happy about that is I noticed that this piece right here that you hold, instead of it being like this and it's so easy to slip off, it's got that checkered pattern, like it's like this. The way they should have made it from the Jump Street, right? Got that checkered pattern. This way you can get your hands on it. And it's bigger. It's bigger than this too. That's really where they went wrong with this. So it's nice to see that they're listening to customer feedback, I would imagine. So, but this still does work. Matter of fact, if they sold or somebody sold something that I could put on there, I'd probably buy it. It does work. It's just doesn't work as nice as the new stuff, I guess. All right, we're unloaded. First time I did this, I don't think I did. If I did it on camera, I didn't release it on my channel. I think I just sent it to Barry to look at. I didn't release all of the testing I did first before I found the bent Sear spring. But this thing was like auto firing like a son of a gun. Like I'm not even exaggerating. It was insane. At one point, I thought I had like a Mach 10 over here. It was just like bah, 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 bah. It was just crazy. And it was doing it even on a pin valve. I had this same tank hooked up to it on soft, like a soft 800. And because this particular regulator, I think it's more like 700. And it was doing it crazy. So I knew there was something wrong. At that point, I knew I was like, nah, it ain't a bolt spring. I figured it had to have something to do with that jammed round and what he had to do to fix, get the spring stop reinstalled, you know, which ain't easy. It was a lot to do, and to your credit, Barry, you did get it done. I mean, you did get the spring stop back in there, so I mean, that's no small feat on its own. But unfortunately, sometimes, you know, small springs like that, it doesn't take an awful lot to bend them. All right, unloaded. Yeah, so like I had like an auto dry fire the first time that I turned this tank on. So I shouldn't do that now. So I knew there was something definitely going on with that Sear spring. All right, let's see. We're going to call this a soft 800 PSI. Let's see if it'll air up without a leak. Unloaded. Yeah. No auto dry fire. That's nice. That was the last test I needed to do, Barry, to say, yeah, I'm pretty confident with this repair. I think that's should be good to go now. All right, this will be louder, so I'm going to put some earplugs in, and then this will be the last test that I'm doing. I'll probably do another off-camera test just after I play around with that magazine, just to make sure that magazine, if I can make it any better, any more reliable for you, before I send all the stuff back to you. So, all right. And again, we're just going to be doing the 5 of the 10 gram joules. Okay. I'll call it a soft 800. All right, here we go. Shot 1. 358 feet per second. Shot 2. 362 feet per second. Shot 3. 360 feet per second. Shot 4. 358 feet per second. And the last one, shot 5. 350 feet per second. 354 feet per second, I mean. Yeah, so that's 5 rounds. I mean, that's good enough for testing. I didn't detect any stutter, no auto fire. Nothing to complain about here. I mean, I think right now the only issue that we have left is with your magazine. There's still a feeding problem, so I'll see if I can. I'll see if I can replace the spring. Maybe I have something. I don't have anything new, but I have some old spring parts, springs. Maybe I can get it working a little bit better for you. If not, we're at the end of the day, you can just use another magazine. Maybe try it out yourself. Maybe this is the only magazine that's giving you a problem. I don't know if this is the only magazine you have for the IntruBuster. I would imagine you have at least one more, because I know you have 2 of these IntruBuster Gen 2s. You know, or you can replace the spring, I guess, too. But we'll see what I can come up with for you. That's all it was this the Sear spring. Sear spring was bent. Now it's bent back the way it's supposed to be, and that has rectified our hair trigger that I was seeing, and also, excuse me, it rectified our stutter and auto fire, full-blown auto fire you were getting. That Sear was so weak that it was having trouble. Just airing up the marker was on HBA was enough to make it activate, and the bolt was shooting forward and trying to shoot off rounds. So I think you're going to be happy with this, especially once you figure out your magazine issue, or, you know, that's really the only issue that needs to be addressed now is the feeding issue. Now, I don't know if that Sear spring, how long it's going to last. I mean, it didn't look, other than being bent out of shape a little bit, it didn't look damaged or anything. So, you know, maybe you'll never have another problem with it. But if you ever get another shaped round or any round lodged in there and you feel like you need to get it out of the gun, by removing all that. Just remember to try to be careful that you don't naturally you don't spit it out, Alan. What am I trying to say? That you do not inadvertently cause that spring stop to that's the one thing too with this MCS. It's a pain to get this off. I'll do this off camera. I'm gonna be here distracted. Anyways. All right, so thank you guys for watching. That's the successful test now, right? 3 tests on CO2. The only issue left to resolve is a feeding issue with this particular magazine. Probably a new spring will probably fix that. Fed 10 gram ammo just fine with my magazine. Auto fire been resolved. That's all it was that bent up Sear spring. So hopefully that video, that tear down and repair troubleshooting video, will find somebody of some use in the future if they so need to. Thank you for watching. Peace out.